Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Entitled Mother from our first story is crazy or stupid or both. Where does she think the milk from the store comes from? The milk fairy? More after a short pause. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled mother yells at farmer for selling her milk that tasted funny. I live in an area that's a very popular tourist destination for people from a very large city. Everything is currently reopening after COVID, so I was at the local farmer's market when I witnessed this exchange. Not sure if it belongs here, but it was very interesting. EM is entitled mother, EK entitled kid, farmer, person selling milk. There's a stand where a farmer's selling raw milk. For those unfamiliar, raw milk is just straight milk as it comes from the cow. It's not pasteurized or homogenized like regular grocery store milk. The small fridge that the milk is in has a sign that specifically says this is raw milk, and then talks about sanitation practices, etc. But says that it's not pasteurized or homogenized, and it should not be consumed by the very young, the very old, or anyone immunocompromised due to the raw nature of it. EM walks up to the stand and hoists a half-full jug of milk into the farmer's face and starts screaming. EM, why did you sell me bad milk? Farmer, I apologize. What seems to be the problem with it? EM, my kid says it tastes funny. Go ahead, tell him. EK, it tastes like a barnyard, and it's a little lumpy. EM, see, you're trying to kill us. Do you have a license to sell rotten milk? Farmer, ma'am, I'm selling raw milk. It's milk directly from the cow, and it's not processed. It's not rotten. EM, what do you mean it's not processed? Don't you know milk has germs? You just tried to kill my son with your weird milk. I'm going to call the state. Farmer, I don't see anything wrong with the milk, but I can refund your $5 if it's not what you were expecting. EM, fine, give me my money back, but I'm going to call the state and have your farm shut down. Give me your license number. Come on, EK. We'll go to Giant Grocery Store and buy some real milk and not whatever this guy's selling. And our second story. I do work here, but I'm not working right now. I worked women's clothing retail for years. I walked into the store. I managed about 10 minutes before my shift one day. I get 2 steps into the store when I get stopped by a customer. Now, granted, I have my sunglasses on and I'm carrying my purse, lunch bag, and my binder that I keep my schedule in. Clearly, you can tell I just got there, and in no way, shape, or form am I working yet. This lady starts going on and on about how we don't have what she wants. I look at her over the top of my sunglasses and tell her, ma'am, if you'd be so kind as to go to the register and let my employees know what you're looking for, they'll be able to help you. I just got here and I haven't even clocked in yet. She tells me I'm rude and not very customer friendly. I get to the registers and tell my girls to go help the woman up front find some stuff and get her a dressing room started. One of the girls comes to the back room where I'm getting settled for the day and says, this lady is pissed at you. She says you're the rudest person she's ever seen and wants to talk to the store manager. I tell my employee to have the manager on duty handle it as I'm not on the clock yet and I need to handle some personal stuff before I clock in. My assistant talks to the lady, apologized, and tried to explain to her that I just walked in and was clocked in for my shift, and that I was polite about letting her know that I wasn't on the clock yet. Meanwhile, I'm in the back on the phone with my DM, and I run out to clock in real fast and go back to the back. I finish up my phone call with my DM, and I go out on the floor. The lady walks up to me and says, I want you to know I didn't appreciate the attitude from you when I asked you if you had something. I apologized and said, ma'am, I just walked in to come to work. I had my sunglasses on, purse, lunch bag. I wasn't clocked in. There were 2 other people working at the time, and you could have asked them. For all you knew, I could have been a shopper just like you. Now that I'm here and ready to work, if there's anything else I can help you with, please let me know. She stayed away from me the rest of the time she shopped. We got a call 3 days later from my DM because she wrote into corporate complaining about me. The regional and territorial managers both wanted to know what happened because this was unlike me to be this rude to someone. My DM told them the story and said she would call the lady and talk with her. The lady wanted me fired and my DM flat refused. She said, "I'm not firing one of my best managers that has been with me for years because you felt she was rude when you tried to ask her questions when she wasn't on the clock. That manager pours her heart and soul into that store to keep it running and treats every single person that walks through her doors the same and is welcoming to everyone. The fact that you failed to listen to her when she told you she wasn't clocked in yet and go to her employees who were clocked in tells me you aren't very considerate. How would you like to be stopped and asked questions before you were able to clock in for your shift? You wouldn't, because you wouldn't be getting paid for that. Well, same thing here. She's not allowed to work off the clock and did the right thing by directing you to someone who could help you." The lady wasn't happy about this and ended up hanging up on my DM. DM wasn't too worried about it because the woman was in the wrong and the regional and territorial managers understood. And our next story. I can't get a refund on my escape room? Okay, let me reschedule then. Context. I own an escape room company in a town which borders a pretty touristy area and is very close to an airport. As such, we tend to get a lot of bookings from people all over the UK who are visiting the area for the weekend or international people who do an escape room on the way to the airport. We only take online bookings and don't take walk-ins. Therefore, the site is only really manned whenever we have bookings. As such, our cancellation policy is that we only allow refunds if the cancellation is more than 24 hours before the scheduled start time. If it's 2 to 24 hours before the start time, we can only reschedule the booking. Now, it's worth mentioning that for the majority of cases, weekdays, we're pretty relaxed with our policy as long as it doesn't cause any big issues and try our best to accommodate a group, as usually I'm the one hosting them, so there's not any additional expenses on our part. Staff wages, loss of income from other potential customers. However, the only day where this policy is really relevant is on a Saturday, where we're almost always entirely booked from morning to night and have staff members working for us. So any canceled slots would most likely have been filled by other customers. And we're of course still paying our staff for that time. Although I must say, we've only ever had to enforce this policy a couple times as we usually accommodate a group in some shape or form. Now on to the MC. So I get a call earlier today from a gentleman with a thick Scottish accent that was scheduled to come in with his group in around 2.5 hours from the time of the call. The group said that they would be unable to make their booking as they were running late with some other activities or something like that, and asked to reschedule the booking for a later slot. I checked our schedule but didn't have any slots left for today in any of our rooms. He then asked for a refund as they would be returning back to Glasgow tonight and didn't know when they would next be down here. I told him our policy and that our system only allows reschedules instead of refunds due to the time frame, and explained that given it's a Saturday, we can't refund so close to the time as staff has been arranged, slot would have been booked, etc., etc. Rescheduling wouldn't have worked with them as they wouldn't be in the area anytime soon. After a short pause, he asked if we had any free slots to schedule for next month. I checked the system and offered to move the booking to the same time on November 16th, to which he said, "Yeah, I think that works." I changed the time on the system and informed him he'd get an email confirming the new time slot. He replied, "Great, so the booking is more than 24 hours away now, right?" Me, "Yes, it's booked for 4 weeks' time from today." Him, "Right, so the booking is more than 24 hours away. I won't be able to make it. Can I have a refund?" I paused for a second, trying to process what had just happened in my head, and realized that he had found a loophole in the system. Technically, his booking was more than 24 hours away, so he is technically entitled to a refund. I started laughing and congratulated him on beating the system as I processed his refund. Edit to clarify a few things. As I said, these situations are so rare that it's never really come up often enough to become a big issue, as most groups are fine with just rescheduling to another day, and we like to accommodate for groups as best we can. Perhaps if it does become more common, we'll look into it, but in the past 2 years we've been open, I can probably count on one hand how many times it's happened. Obviously, what I've posted is just the bare bones of the conversation. There was a bit of bantering back and forth, which is why I didn't mind as much issuing the refund as he seemed like a nice guy. Guess it goes to show if you're a nice person, you might be more likely to get the rules bent for you than if you're a complete Karen. Plus, chances are next time he's this way, he'll make another booking down the line because of this interaction. This is why I didn't think he was being cheeky by canceling straight after rescheduling. And our last story. Entitled parents who think that because there's a pool, they should be allowed to use it. This is a story from last year, but I'm still bristling about it, so thought it was worth a retell. I tacked a few days holiday onto a work trip to Charleston and had gotten an Airbnb out on the coast with husband and two old friends who lived in New York. They flew out to stay with us for the weekend. It was a real old friend catch-up, very boozy but very chilled out. We all grabbed a drink and went out onto the back garden deck to be greeted by the sight of a woman by the pool with two kids splashing around. As soon as she saw us, she ran over shouting and screaming at us. For a second, we thought we were in the wrong house. Anyway, the entitled woman, I'll call her Karen, started screaming at us, saying that she'd been waiting for us for 30 minutes and in the end had to break the back gate to get in so the kids could use the pool, how her kids had got really hot and that we needed to get them some drinks and snacks now. My friend found her voice first and asked her what the F was going on and what was this woman doing in our pool. Karen explained/ranted that she was best friends with the owners, but didn't know their names, and they let us use the pool when there weren't guests at the house. We pointed out that we were in fact guests. Karen retaliated by saying that no one was in when she arrived and she knew the owner would want her kids to be happy and we need to sort out those drinks and snacks for her kids. Meanwhile, I'm calling the owner who isn't picking up, and the argument's getting heated with my husband telling the now very angry woman to get the F out of the backyard. She gets the kids out of the pool whilst shouting that we weren't using the pool anyway, how unhappy we were making the kids, and how we need to put the kids first. I think the language coming out your face is upsetting them more, actually, Karen. Her parting shot as she leaves is to take the piss out of my accent, Brit, and then finish this all off as she tells us that we're perverts to come away as a child-free group of 4 and that she was going to call the police on us. We were still so confused hours later. When the owner eventually called me back, it turns out the woman is a relative of the woman who ran the cleaning company they used and have never once been invited to use the pool. Total effing craziness. But it did give us a good holiday story, I suppose. Let her use the pool when there's not guests probably means she breaks in when nobody's around to catch her. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.